Have you ever wondered why, at certain moments in life, everything seems to go silent and loneliness sets in? That period when you feel distant from everything and everyone, as if God Himself is separating you from everything you once knew. It seems strange, doesn't it? But what if I told you that this isolation is part of a greater plan? Yes, God isolates us with a purpose, and that purpose might be exactly what you're searching for: spiritual growth and a transformation that will prepare you for something much greater. While many believe that being alone is synonymous with failure or abandonment, the truth is that it's in this silence that God's greatest works are forged. Curious to understand how this happens and how you can use this moment to discover your true purpose? On our spiritual journey, we go through different phases, or what we can call seasons. Just like the seasons of the year change, our lives also follow a cycle of growth, renewal, and sometimes waiting. There are moments when everything seems to blossom, but there are others when silence takes over. It is during these times that God is subtly working something greater in us. These periods of isolation are often mistaken for abandonment when, in fact, they are moments of consecration and preparation for something grand. During this time, the soul aligns with the divine purpose and begins to grow in spiritual maturity. It's interesting to note that in everyday life, isolation can feel like an unwanted pause. Imagine a student who needs to lock themselves in their room to study and prepare for an important exam. They temporarily distance themselves from social interactions, but this sacrifice leads to success. In the same way, in the spiritual seasons of isolation, God uses these moments to shape our character and prepare us for something we cannot yet see. Just as winter prepares the earth for spring, isolation prepares our soul for a new level of purpose and spiritual growth. Isolation has a clear and divine purpose, even though at first glance it may seem like a period of loneliness. When God isolates us, it's not to punish or distance us from the world, but to draw us closer to Him, away from distractions. In this place of quiet, we can hear His voice more clearly, understanding the true purpose for our lives. Each moment of solitude can be seen as an invitation for spiritual growth, for deepening our relationship with God, preparing us for a new chapter in our lives. For example, think of an artist who, when creating a masterpiece, often retreats to a studio far from the chaos and noise. They need this time of concentration for creativity to flow without interruptions. In the same way, God places us in moments of isolation to work on us, so we can see the divine purpose He has for us more clearly. It is in this phase that we learn profound lessons, gain strength, and prepare for what's to come. After all, every step in isolation leads to unparalleled spiritual growth. The Bible is full of examples that confirm the value and purpose of isolation in the spiritual journey. In 2 Corinthians 6 verse 17, we find God's clear guidance to distance ourselves from impurity and separate ourselves for Him. This is not just a physical separation but a call for spiritual realignment, where distancing ourselves from what is impure allows us to focus on what is divine. This verse reminds us that to grow spiritually, sometimes we need to break away from what hinders us from hearing God's voice clearly. A practical example is when people decide to distance themselves from certain habits or social circles that do not contribute to their growth. This decision may seem difficult at first, but soon they realize how much this distance brings peace, clarity, and a deeper connection with God. Just as in the Bible, where isolation is a path to sanctification, in our lives, it's a time to reflect on our purpose and strengthen our spiritual walk, guided by the light of Scripture. Before I go, I want to leave you with an important question. Are you ready to apply everything you've learned here and allow God to use this time of isolation to transform you? Think carefully, because this decision could completely change the course of your life. If you feel called to grow spiritually and discover the true purpose God has for you, now is the time to act. Sometimes, all we need is a push to step out of our comfort zone and embrace what truly matters. So how about starting this journey now? Subscribe to the channel and activate notifications so that you don't miss any new content that can help you continue learning about this process of spiritual transformation. Don't put off what could be the beginning of a life full of purpose and meaning. Let's walk this path together.